Honourable members, I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 1, Program 11, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honourable Member Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the Honorable Minister could turn to page 37, I'm looking at line item 6284 and 6294, an increase of $80 million and $50 million. Could the Honorable Minister tell the House what additional programs or expenses will be incurred for this $130 million?
Honourable Minister. Minister, you can sit here.
Thank you. The increase of $80 million to 350. Are there a number of activities listed under that? A payment of the official gazette. Oh, sorry. Payment of the official gazette, 220 million. Commission for inquiry expenses, 50. Services for waste removal, 10. Signs and banners services, 2. Cable services, 2.5. Consultation fees, 50. Radio and television broadcast, 7 million for the president. Services rendered, 2.5. Installation of fiber optic cables, 1.5. Miscellaneous expenses, 2 million. And support for the Men on Mission Secretariat for 2.5 million. That's 6284. You asked about 6294, is that correct? Madam Volda, Lawrence? The increase from what was 70 million budgeted in 2024, and it was increased to 99.916 in 2024, revised, and now is 150. This sum of 150 is allocated. The majority of the costs are associated with services provided for state visits, 100 million. This line also covers purchase of gifts, for exemplary service or honor, 20 million. Dietary supplies, groceries, cutleries, curtains, tablecloths, etc. For catering under this item, that is for state visits, dignitaries, etc., 20 million. And 10 million for miscellaneous expenses, may be due to unpredictable nature of certain state visits and state house activities. So this is mainly hosting of state visits. As you saw last year, Prime Minister Modi, we've had also the visit of from the Exim Bank, for example. We've had a series of meetings here, including, I think, CARICOM meetings with heads of state. And so the cost of hosting and has gone up in terms of those functions that State House would carry out. As you know, there are a lot more people coming to Guyana. Everybody wants to come here and see what we're up to. So I don't know if those answered your questions. 6284, 6294.
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Member Mr. Mahipon.
Sir, a follow-up. The Honourable Minister said 2.5 million for the Men on Mission Secretariat.
Yes.
May I ask, where is that secretariat located?
Minister.
It's located in the GDF compound.
Sir, thank you very much. May I ask the Honourable Minister if there is a staff or two, or how many that is be managing this secretariat, and if they're catered for on the staffing details?
There is 3 staff members under the secretariat.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask the designation of these 3 staff members?
You said three, so who's the third one? Okay, so that's where the thing is. Yeah, there's I would call him a coordinator for now, I'm not sure the right designation, and two clerks that are paid by the GDF. So the three, staff of three.
So, sir, if I'm here,
One paid by the Office of the President, two paid by GDF.
may I ask the designation of the three members?
Yeah, two clerks, as I said. So that's their title, position.
Sir, are they full-time,
And one coordinator.
are they full-time staff members of the Men on Mission Secretariat?
Yes, yes.
So may I ask, sir, the two GDF staff, they were removed from their functions as officers within the GDF.
They're assigned to, yes.
They were reassigned.
Yes, to the Secretariat, and they're paid by the GDF.
Sir, so may I ask if this Men on Mission Secretariat is an arm of the GDF now?
No, it's not. I think that the GDF is assisting with coordinating and making it function, but right now it is not a GDF function. That's why the budget for Men and Mission is under Office of the President. When you get to capital and stuff like that, you'll see that. So the contribution of OP to the Secretariat is $2.5 million.
Sir, may I have one more follow-up,
Go
sir?
ahead.
May I remind the Honorable Minister that in 2024, when we were examining the Men on Mission, that there was a promise to submit the report on the Men of Mission for 2023 and 2024. If I may quote, sir, we have a report on that. If you would like me to share that with you, we can do that on what they use the $500 million for and their program this year for what they intend to use the $500 million for. May I ask the Honorable Minister if she can please submit the report for 2023, 2024, and if she's willing to also submit the one that for this one once completed. Thank you, sir.
Minister,
Yeah, based on the questioning last year, I did submit for 2024 their list of activities with the clerk, as far as I know. There were three questions that were put to me based on the whole process we went through on that day that were brought to my attention by the clerk, and we answered those. There is a copy of the letter I have somewhere in my file here. I could double check it and correct myself if I'm wrong. But the work program is mainly in the capital. And so that's where you would get the breakdown. But I did provide then, and we do have one for 2025 as well. So a description plus the capital works. So if that is what you wish, you can request that and we can provide that. But I think we did provide 2024. If I'm wrong, that would be included.
Sir, I am not in receipt of any for 2024.
I can't hear you, sorry.
I am not in receipt of any report for 2024, and if I am wrong, I will appreciate if the minister can. But she did promise 2023 also.
right, and she said she would check that. She
Yeah, because
said,
it was only started in
she said the
2023,
list of
so I don't.
activities of 2024, if I heard correctly. She didn't talk about a report for 2024.
Yeah.
And Minister, did you say report for 2024?
I mean, what, if I said that last year? My memory isn't that good.
Yes, sir, I'm quoting from the Hansard. It's the Hansard I'm quoting from.
For 2024?
Yes, sir. 2012,
Well-
when I was asking the question, her response was, we have a report on that, which was the $500 million for 2023.
Letter.
And she said, if you would like me to share that, we can do that on what they use the $500 million for and their programs this year. So for 2024, we're getting the programs and what they're going to do on
Yeah,
2023.
but if you check back what I was saying, you said report.
Yes, that's what it
For,
said here.
for 2024,
Oh, no, 2023.
which was supposed to be program.
Yes.
And then she did say she's going to check back her records, and if she didn't, she
Yes.
for 2023.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't recall, I must confess, and that we depend on the clerk and his transcriptionist to record all the requests, because I can't
Right.
manage request and answer at the same time.
That's true.
And therefore, the clerk of the National Assembly compiles that with his staff and then sends it to us as a reminder that we've committed to answer the following questions. And I did receive a letter from the clerk, and I did answer, but, and I have a copy in the house. I just have to, it's not with me now. I can get that.
Thank you, Minister.
And
Honourable
if I
member,
didn't provide 2023, we can do that.
honourable members, I'll put a question that the sum stated
Mr.
for
Chair, Mr. Chair, I have a follow-up for the Honorable Minister.
Honourable Amanzo.
Thank you. Minister, could you clarify I'm a little unclear as to the rationale for men on a mission being administered by the Guyana Defense Force?
Honourable Minister.
It's not being administered by the Guyana Defense Force. It's under the Office of the President, but that the GDF is assisting at this point with the secretarial staff. So it is not administered by the GDF. The GDF is not in control of it. It is still an Office of the President project. And so what the GDF is doing is providing us with high quality persons to help us manage the secretariat until we can get a building, we can get an office, all those things set up.
Thank you, Minister.
Follow up, sir.
Honourable member for the year.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. Honorable Minister, can you say if, because we've seen men on a mission doing a lot of social programs. Is this an extended arm of the Ministry of Social Services?
Minister.
Or what, could you just say to the House what is their primary role, functions, responsibility?
The Men on Mission is a rather interesting innovation in
Yes.
that it is for the first time trying to get men to be actively engaged as change agents, both in terms of community involvement and family involvement. As you're very aware in Guyana, that 29% of our homes are headed by single-headed women alone, and therefore one of its focuses is to encourage men working with their families and being responsible for their families. One of the big change agent issues is to do with responsible fatherhood, responsible husbandhood, responsible partnership, whatever we want to call it. Secondly, it's other areas to do with gender-based violence and being opposed to gender-based violence. Also in terms of mentorship programs working with young boys and men, including prisoners, in terms of positive behaviors and reducing violence. So it is a rather innovative thing. It's much broader in some ways than the Gender Affairs Bureau at the Ministry of Women's Services. It involves over 1,000 men for each region in some cases. And so it is a way of mobilizing men to get involved with campaigns to do with gender equality, domestic violence, and helping to change perceptions and create healthier relations between people, men and women and men, so as to reduce the level of violence in the society in general, and also to collaborate with NGOs. Their program for 2025, for example, I could give you a whisper of that. It also, as you know from the media, it tries to get tries to have men more visibly out there and looking at persons who are vulnerable in their communities, who are living under very poor conditions, particularly elderly and disabled. And so their 2025 program is focusing again on the objectives of community engagement, mentorship programs, awareness programs, support programs. This is for support programs for men, focusing on emotional well-being as well as health. Men tend to not take care of their health as much as women, and therefore, as you heard Dr. Berry Ramsaran promote the examination of prostate cancer. Too many of our men die from prostate cancer or finding it too late. So these are some of the well-being programs and health programs, and of course collaboration with NGOs on broader social issues. As we said, they've done visits to Lusignan Prison, over 2024, 20 visits, and they have held motivational health talks with 638 inmates. They have a men's health program to promote preventative medicine, collaborate with the Ministry of Health in promoting prostate health, to collaborate with local organizations in promoting men's health, etc. Activities include a health fair for men's health tent, including dental checkups, how they're accessing other health services in collaboration with a local faith-based organization, um, and on International Women in Men's Day, sorry, working with the Ministry of
Thank
Health,
you.
Men's Unit and Cancer Society, um, and so on. Screening for men for prostate cancer, screening for men in
A
diabetes,
follow-up, Minister.
and so forth. So,
Thank you.
in other words, I can go on because, and I will share
I
this.
know you can. I have a follow-up though.
Yes,
This
I haven't
man,
finished, but
Just
I'll
one second,
pause.
Minister. Uh, I, Honorable Member Figueroa, you have to allow her to finish and then let me recognize you, right? If you two want to have a chat, I could suspend and then come back.
she has accommodated my request.
No, I would like the public to hear this, sir. Because I think there are questions like how
Yeah,
they're
but
asking.
in you informing the public, I think it would be good.
Minister, you have the floor. I'm not listening to anybody. When you tell me thank you, I'll put another question. Honorable Member Mr. Figueroa.
I don't know if
Thank you so
I'm,
kindly, sir.
I don't know if I'm
So, Mr.
I may be
I'm going to be very
misunderstanding
brief.
something.
I'm going to be very brief. In this,
Oh,
in
he has the
this,
floor? Okay.
Minister, this with this men on a mission experiment, is there functions being evaluated to determine if the experiment that the government is undertaking with men on a mission to help curb some of the very ills you have identified in the society, how do we assess the outcomes as if it is positive? Do we need to adjust the program a little more so that the objectives can truly be achieved? And given the fact that the military men are a part of the program and they are attracting other men, is there an opportunity for those men who they're attracting to be instilled with certain military training? Because we want to instill discipline, I'm gathering from you. And more so, given the fact that it is a reflection of all of the 10 administrative regions and they do whatever it is that you said they do, can the general public make a request for a house, for example, or for their son who may be challenged with discipline in the home? Can they, is there a membership that they could send their sons to so that they could be afford the opportunity where discipline can be instituted into these young delinquent men and so forth?
Minister?
Entree points into the men on men, including the health education programs, as well as you might be interested, honorable member, in the academic support, karate, computer classes, field trips for young people and its partnership. In relation to the Army, I have no doubt that with the two Army personnel who with Secretariat, I'm sure they will be advising any young persons that may be interested. And the Army itself advertises its programs and has recruitment. So I think there are ample opportunities. People have to take it. And for 2025, um, over 2,000 men interacted in these programs, 800 young men and boys, 110 persons got housing assistance, and 650 had health tests. And so under the housing program, there were 291 applications received, 243 beneficiaries assessed, and 50 core two-bedroom homes were built and handed over to prioritizing single parents, elderly, disabled, and economically vulnerable due to natural disaster. I am not interested. Well, let Mohammed come and account to you at the parliament. I don't have to count for Mr. Mohammed. I am counting for taxpayers' money. I'm just accounting for taxpayers' money. I'm not accounting for anybody outside. Two special projects, kitchen and in the Upper Demerara River, and communities of Santa Mission, right? One special home for elderly blind women of Diamond Housing Scheme, and 60 recipients received building materials, and also 25 persons based on the freak storm in Karasaba receive materials as well to rebuild their houses. So I'm willing to lay over this copy of this report, and I would like the men in this room in particular, who know that they don't do their health checks and all that, to also be change agents in your communities. Whether you join MONM or not, is that each one of the men in our room should be facilitating and advocating for responsible parenthood, for against gender violence, and against interpersonal violence.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable
I don't have
members,
a clue what Jenny thinks.
honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 11, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no.
Finished.
Ayes have it.
Behave.
Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Let's move to program 12, pages 38 and 39. And I propose a question that the sum stated
That's what capital.
herein for program
Oh,
12,
oh,
current
shoot.
expenditure stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister give us a disaggregation for this $700 million allocated on page 483? The legend says that the project entails provision for men on mission projects and programs. So could you kindly provide the House with a disaggregation in terms of the building and materials and maintenance, a sum for that, and then you'll give us the sum for the other that says programs. I don't understand the capital thing, programs.
Yes, Minister, please. Current. We're at 12, program
Oh, I
12.
thought you put, all right, sorry, Mr. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Oh, you just shoo and learn something.
Mr. Chair. Oh,
Chief Whip?
thank you. Mr. Chairman, subsidies to local organization, line item 6321. Could the Honorable Minister indicate on the Youth Advisory Council, we see again in a request in 2024 for 75 million, revised is at 16,220, and we have a request now again for 75 million. And I would want to take the minister back to her response last year, indicating that this body would have been established in 2022. And when asked about a specific program that this Youth Advisory Council is engaged in, the minister indicated that they were now essentially getting their feet together. And there are programs in 2024 in which we will see the young people going out into community, basically educating them about the various programs available in different government agency, etc. Could the minister indicate what work was done by this body and what were the programs executed in 2024?
Minister?
MP Jones, the highlights of 2024, they have a primary health subcommittee to create, particularly among high school students. They've developed an app And the app is designed to foster a sense of engagement and competition among the students, encourage them to maintain healthy habits. They've involved themselves in several health fairs, including Kidney Foundation's booth and One Guyana Health Fair. They've introduced younger audiences to primary healthcare concepts through interactive workshops. They piloted school program at a few community centers to test its effectiveness and gather feedback. Um, they've done more sharing of visual material to the students. The education subcommittee has presented proposals for school shadowing programs to enhance learning experiences and to provide students with hands-on exposure to real-world applications of their education. They've done a survey. A survey is to be conducted in Region 7, targets the region's diverse demographics, including riverine areas, hinterland, and urban. The data collected will guide tailored educational interventions. Um, they've had consultations on improving maths and English performance, working with the Ministry of Education. Um, Agriculture Subcommittee has been launched an innovative competition promoting climate smart agriculture to develop creative solutions to streamline agricultural production, shadow two schools agriculture programs to gain insight to how the students actually look at agriculture as a career path, several workshops, constitutional reform subcommittee, um, they having discussions in relation to issues regarding constitutional reform, mental health subcommittee, in collaboration with mental health unit at the Ministry of Health, conducted awareness campaigns reaching schools and workplaces. Projections for 2025. Again, the primary health subcommittee, these are the subcommittees that are functioning. Expand the in-school workshop in Region 4 to cover all high schools and launch the same program in the hinterland. This is to do with informed health choices, access to these services to have better outcomes. Education sub, I'm just paraphrasing because each one of these has a long paragraph. So, Mr. Speaker, if you think I'm being long, if I were to read the full thing, it would take us much more time. Education Subcommittee, pilot and scale math and English improvement programs in 6 schools in Region 7. So, Doretta, you and I will be happy, and Dawn, to know that Region 7 is being focused on. These programs will utilize innovative teaching methods and resources to address the learning gaps. Agriculture Subcommittee, monitor STEM competition prototypes, and host a national agricultural conference focusing on climate smart practices, again with the Ministry of Agriculture. Ministry Health Committee on Mental Health. This is a major issue in terms of this in school and aim to promote mental well-being, improved health awareness, and support systems for those who need help. On the Constitutional Reform Subcommittee, they want to be actively involved in terms of the importance of the Constitution and enabling discussions about governance and legal frameworks which will foster civic awareness. Going on. Increased spending, sufficient resources for scalability, expanding successful pilots such as mental health workshops and STEM innovation prototypes, enhanced capacity for delivery, investments in logistics, technology, and training will enable effective program implementation, sustainability of initiatives, long-term impact. Um, so that they have said in their report that 2024 has laid a good foundation and that the increase in spending in 2025, we can amplify these successes and reach a more sustainable approach.
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Chair, same line
Chief
item,
Whip.
turn the minister's attention to the Lands and Surveyors Commission. Could the Honorable Minister indicate what is the status of the Lands and Surveyors Commission's board?
Minister.
It's been appointed, isn't it? Yeah. Just give us a sec, please. I am not the gatekeeper, Mr. Maipol. The gatekeeper is sitting up there.
Go ahead, Minister.
Telling me once I give him back his time. I said, I'm not the gatekeeper, you are. Isn't that so?
We've always been very flexible.
He knows that. Yes, lands and surveys. Yeah. Yeah, the board has not been put in place as yet, as far as I know.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. What is there in the interim? How does the Guyana Lands
Okay.
and Surveys operate based on the constitutional guidance of this body?
Honorable Minister,
Um, I think you will well remember that under President Granger, the Trevor Benn, who was then the head of lands and surveys, was given certain powers to make decisions. That was withdrawn, I believe, in this government, and that the CEO makes decisions and otherwise has to approach cabinet or the person who is in charge, or ultimately in terms of lands in Guyana, which is the office of the president.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
Just for clarity for the minister, no, I do not recall during the Granger administration. Just your guidance, for your guidance rather, could the honorable minister indicate how the CEO was derived from? If I'm quoting the constitution correctly, it says that a board must be put in place, and out of that board, a CEO is derived. So without a board being in place, how has this CEO arrived or derived?
Honorable Minister,
Yeah, this is not a constitutional issue. This is a matter of statute. The Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission is under statute. It's not in the constitution. There was no
thank you,
board
Minister. We
functioning.
stand corrected.
There was no board functioning either under Parter Granger's term as well.
Honorable members, I now put a question that is some stated.
Mr. Chair.
The ultimate decider on land and distribution is the cabinet.
Mr. Mr. Chair, if I
Honorable
may.
member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, sir. In the absence, could the Honorable Minister say through you, sir, in the absence of the board, how are decisions going through, for example, on the Linden Suicide Highway? We know that they have been leaseholders for years, and of recent we saw business individuals being given titles where they were leased before. How is that being done in the absence of a board?
I think we have to
Honorable
go back to
Minister.
the State Lands Act, which is also the same act that is used in regards to Amerindian land titling, and that the ultimate decider on that, because it's state lands, is the president as the head. All state land comes under the president. It's and the cabinet. So cabinet makes decisions on the allocations, if there's a new housing scheme being opened, for example, and the release of lands for those purposes has to have cabinet approval. In the case of the Soesdijk people, those issues of regularizing those lands and assigning them are done through the technical areas of the Lands and Surveys Commission, but go to cabinet and or directly to the minister in charge by law, who is the president. It's the same thing under the Granger administration.
Thank you, Honorable
Mr. Chair.
Minister. I have.
That's how Lowenfield got his land just before the elections, remember?
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Fol-
200
Chief,
acres of,
yeah,
200 acres of prime land in Region 10. I don't
Mr.
know why
Chairman.
Figuera doesn't ask me that question.
A follow up with the honorable minister, same line item, and
Can't
minister,
read
you
that
could.
far, Annette.
Minister, you could advise if by chance I am misleading myself. I'm quoting it from the Constitution, the laws of Guyana, schedule, Constitution and procedure of the board and other related matters.
Of
And it
the
goes on
Lands
to
and
say,
Surveys?
one, the board shall consist of a chairman, the commissioner, and 11 members, all of whom shall be appointed by the minister Number 2 says all members of the board other than the commissioner shall be subject to subparagraph 2 and 3, hold office for the period of 3 years, and it goes on. But it's referenced the board as in the laws. So
But the
is it a
Guyana Land
key?
Surveys Commission is not a
Minister, allow him to
constitutional
finish.
body.
And
It's
Right.
covered by statute.
Well, essentially, Mr. Chair, just seeking the minister's guidance if the laws are not applicable here, or if I'm misguiding myself.
Let me repeat.
go
The
ahead,
state
Minister.
lands are the property of the state. The minister responsible for land in Guyana is the president. So the minister that they're referring to is the president. Decisions to do with land fall within the rubric of the cabinet and the president. Right? So we're within the law. You can talk about a board, but the point is that even if there is a board, it has to have the approval. If you're listening, Mr. Jones, and don't let Mr. Duncan distract you, as always, is that
Yes.
even if there is a board, even if there were a board, the ultimate arbiter and decider is the minister responsible, who is the president.
Final follow-up question. Minister,
ahead,
could
Chief
you
Whip.
indicate how much
Chief Whip to
lands,
Chief Whip. Go ahead.
how many lands have been allocated, transfer, or leased within the last 4 years, or titled in the last 4 years?
Do you expect me to have that answer here, sir? That's a question, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, why can't I
Go ahead,
speak?
Minister. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I seek your guidance.
And you have my
I think that
protection
is a
too.
very good question. It's a good question.
Yes.
But it's talking about 4 years, and that's a question to a minister under
Yes.
questions to ministers,
Uh,
not under a budget line item where we're looking at the implementation of the taxpayers' money vis-a-vis the Guyana Land Service Commission. So I think it's a wonderful question. We can answer it. We have nothing to hide. Just put it on the order paper, on the notice paper. Let's get to that.
All right.
But I can't, it would be unfair to say how much lands you've given out in the last 4 years when we're looking at 2025. We would not have been prepared for that. Will stop showing me something. I can't even see what is written there. Annette, I don't have microscopic eyes.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Chief Whip,
Piece of paper.
Thank
you
you.
are
Yes.
guided correctly.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you
And
very much.
I promise you, once the question comes, we'll deal with it expeditiously.
Right. Well, Mr. Chair, I do agree with the honorable minister that that question, the information she would not have at hand. So my final submission to the honorable minister,
notice
would you
of
be
it, that's
kind enough to lay over that to the honorable house?
She asked, and I was going to direct. You can put it as a question, and we will deal with it expeditiously. Honorable members, I have MP Lawrence. I have an observation. I don't know if the Honorable Sheriff Duncan is appointed the advisor to every person asking questions. But I don't know really where he sits now. Okay. But Honorable Member Mr. Duncan, please don't distract the persons around you, right? Ms. Lawrence?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Minister, same line item, 6321, but I'm looking at page 468. And the question is, could the Honorable Minister say when we will see financial statements laid in this National Assembly for the Gaming Authority, Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, Institute of Applied Science and Technology, and Office of the Commissioner of Information? Some of them have statements as far back as 2017, Honorable Minister. So when will we see them laid?
Honorable Minister.
I agree with you totally, and they're here and they should listen and do it.
Thank you. Honorable Member Mr. Mahiport.
Thank you,
We have been
sir.
encouraging,
Sir,
we have been
the same line
encouraging them to
item,
do their reports.
the Guyana
and some
Technical
have been
Training
doing it.
College
Okay.
in GTTCI. last year the Honorable Minister was kind enough to say to us that the $50 million was to start up this college. And we see here a figure of $78 million now. And there was a cabinet order that approved its formation since last year for it to
Right.
be in existence, for it to be existing at Port Morant next to the University of Guyana, Berbice campus. Can the Honorable Minister provide us on an update with reference to that institution and also how is it going?
Minister.
I have a report from the Guyana Technical Training College, Inc., GTTCI 2024, and its reports. It was a successful year in terms of the project being executed between the government of Guyana and Exxon in Port Morant. Track one, the Oil and Gas Training Center, witnessed the building, construction, and outfitting of the US 13 million FACT-TOR, that is facility simulator, completed over a 9-month period, mainly in 2023, with its formal opening by the President in February 2024. Initial intake of 24 Exxon SBM Guyanese trainees completed the mechanical, electrical, instrumental, and production training, graduating in June, and thus ready to work on the FPSOs offshore. The very first Guyanese to be trained was at GTTCI. A contract has been awarded to prepare the site for the main oil and gas training facility, um, and this work should be completed and is just about to become complete. And in October of 2024, a US 35 million contract was awarded to erect the buildings and infrastructure for the facility. Foundation work should be completed soon. Laboratory and workshop and maintenance buildings are expected to be completed in September, October 2025, as well as the administration building. They have um, 2025 will see in January a new intake of 34 students to the factor for their initial 6 months of training at Port Morant, and the GTCI through Exxon SPM will admit its first full cohort of 24 students to be trained entirely in Guyana. In September, October, using the new training and classroom buildings that are being currently built. And this
So,
includes like office and so on for the director and the trainers and so on. Tract one, this is to do with the campus, will all be completed in October 2026. The residence, dining hall, and other infrastructure works. Um, we will hire 8 Guyanese. They will hire 8 Guyanese trainers in training and to send them initially to Canada for a 9 to 12-month training program. Further training will be continued in the factor, shadowing the expat trainers and on FPSOs over the following years. It is estimated this cost for training will initially be $1 million to be funded through the agreement with ExxonMobil or directly by the government of Ghana. In addition to that, the Institute um, has, with Exxon, is addressing other academic and policy matters associated with the registration of the GTCI by the National Accreditation Council and accreditation of its program by a reputable international body. There's also a 5-year transition plan between Exxon and Ghana that will have to be approved. GTC, the new feature and the new, not only oil and gas, but the work on building the Hospitality and Tourism Institute, which is part of the institution. Track 2, initially with CDB funding, began on the campus in February 2024. It was completed in a few phases with the Government of Ghana funding and is to be completed in 2026. If all goes to plan, the Ministry of Education will be also then a responsible body to work on this, as far as I understand. Expected that the Ministry of Public Works in 2025 will build and upgrade the access roads to the site from the public road and pave and have illuminated the internal campus road, what's called Gaisuko Dam.
thank you,
So,
Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you, Minister.
Sir,
MP?
so I don't have a
may I
breakdown of the
ask if the
78 million.
Honorable Minister can lay that over? But my substantive question is, a lot of work was done with reference to this GTTCI. Where did the money come from to do all that work when the budget is reflecting that from the 50 million provided in 2024, none was spent? So where did that money come from and what will they be using this amount here, $78 million for?
Like previously, that's a good question for a question to the minister. We're talking about an allocation
All right, sir, I withdraw.
here,
Thank you
right?
very much.
But if the minister would like to prefer an answer,
I withdraw the
please,
question, sir.
I'll give her an opportunity.
I
Minister,
was
if
trying
you
to
want
listen
to
to
offer an answer,
three conversations at one time. So
I,
if I
I,
got
I-
it wrong, the
Minister,
I understand.
just remember the primary one is here.
I know, but I have to listen here too. I have to answer
Yeah.
questions from there. So I'm on a three-way stream, which I'm not very good at.
Okay, so I was at the point advising the honorable member that the particular question doesn't pertain to this allocation.
Right.
He could put that as a question to the minister, but if you would like to offer an answer, I'd give you the opportunity.
I have no problem with the question to yeah.